In the weeks since the attack on Mitternacht, the loss of your beloved brother Ludwig, and the rise of Ramses in his new powerful form, the initial flames of rebellion have been snuffed out. Now, while your remaining brothers rebuild and weed out the remaining rats, the question still remains. Who set all those events in motion, and who can be trusted? It's times such as these when lines need to be drawn between friend and foe, and that, Liara and Varric, is why Ramses set you out on this rocky path. For days now you've traveled south by wing, hoof, and claw to seek out a rumored monster hiding in these rocky hills. One that disappeared any and all scouts that you set this way before. But those scouts weren't you. You are lords of the Midnight Kingdom. Arcana runs in your very blood, and it is up to you to find out if there is potential ally hiding in these mountains, or if there's a threat that needs to be dealt with. As you travel through the rocky pass, you notice that the chill air of the north has kind of given way. While you're still kind of in this thin mountaintop, the air is still cool, of course. You're starting to feel these little blusters and buffets of heat kind of buffering through the hills, or through these mountain passes to the south of you. You're not traveling alone. You do have with you kind of like a scouting party, a group that is there to essentially set up camp for you, scout ahead, forage for food on your behalf. For the most part,
all of our rations and stuff are taken care of.
Yeah, these you are.
If we even need to eat.
You do like to eat at the very least, and it does fill you. It sustains you. Food is still something that you both desire and in some cases require. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you do have essentially a group traveling with you. You are dignitaries. You are lords of the North. So you have a party of about a dozen people kind of taking care of you, setting up your camps, and making sure that the path for you is clear, and scouting ahead to make sure that should the worst come to happen, you are not going to be the first ones to find out.
Cool.
Basically, it's like, those guys will go first. It's fine.
Essentially, yeah.
Meat shield.
That's pretty much exactly what they are. A lot of them, a few of them, are former students of yours, Varric. Those that did not pass the Ascension exam, but have simply just fallen into the order of your abjurers.
Ah, all my failures. Got it. I'm surrounded by idiots.
So harsh.
Honestly,
I submitted one person for a reason.
Yeah, these are people that just did not meet this meet standards, but you know what? They're good enough for rank and file in the military, and these ones of the failures are good enough to be your guardians.
Cool. I'll take it.
Meat shields.
Yeah, no, they're fancy meat shields.
Yeah. They have
they might be able to withstand 2 hits.
Yeah, these meat shields have a uniform.
Oh,
True.
That's so nice.
Is it red?
It will be soon.
Speaking of red, you do start to notice as you travel, there are what appear to be almost kind of like in red clay paint or chalk or just rubbings. There are these symbols that you kind of start noticing on the rocks. They look like... go ahead and give me smarts rolls if you want to try to decipher these, actually.
Okay.
All right.
This is going to
my
suck.
worst one.
I got a 9, partial.
I got a 7. I got a rock.
Partial success.
I got a ring.
For what you can tell, these look like very rudimentary, very primal warnings, like markings of territory. Essentially, like you're starting to notice them more and more frequently over like the past few hours, over the past day, you started noticing them, and they're becoming a little bit more frequent. This is some tribe or some group marking territory, kind of giving warning to those that might come to pass this way. Whether this is the markings of travelers who go through this way trying to warn you, or whether this is the group of people that live in this area trying to warn you to get the fuck back, you can't tell.
Can I do a roll to spread out my consciousness and see if I can sense anyone who's not in our group?
You can go ahead and give me a roll plus strange for that, sure.
I love it. That's 10.
10? With a 10, you notice that the scouts have kind of... you're able to get kind of a pretty wide net, especially on people that you're familiar with. All of your scouts and stuff are within about 100 yards of you. And all of your attendants are also in that group. As far as people that you are... or people or things that you are unfamiliar with, there appear to be some creatures kind of huddling in caves nearby. They seem kind of harmless. A very curious lizard kind of like peeking out of a cave, just watching you. It clearly doesn't mean a threat. It is actually terrified of this group that is marching past, but nothing that seems intelligent.
Oh, so by creature you mean like just like animals of sorts?
Yeah, there's an animal there. It could be just a it might be a basilisk. It might be a just some sort of cave lizard, but
Gotcha,
nothing intelligent, or at least what you would qualify as intelligent.
So, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sarah.
She just... Yeah, I don't know. Are you next to me, Varric, or are you just kind of hanging around?
I assume we're staying together behind the meat shields.
Yeah.
Yeah, and inclines her head towards the markings, and she's like, I don't sense the ones who made those. Nothing really intelligent. Well, intelligent in terms of our group, anyway. Smiles dryly.
Lani, have we seen any signs of our... I hesitate to call it prey, but our query? Like any hints as we've traveled?
You can go ahead and give me a wits roll.
Okay.
See if anything...
Is that just for him?
That's an 8, which is a partial.
Is that for me, too, to roll on?
You can go ahead and give me one as well.
That's
Yay,
teen.
thank you, Sarah!
Over the days of traveling, through these mountains specifically, as you've been getting closer and closer to the caldera, you haven't really noticed much in terms of the prey that you had been stalking until a couple of days ago, when you were finally given a good sense of direction other than just move towards where it feels warmer. There was kind of almost like the sound of a distant thunderclap that kind of like echoed through the air. And you could see in the distance a spindle of smoke starting to twirl up from a distant mountain. And that's the direction you have currently been traveling. And as you've been getting closer, these marks have started to pop up, so you do believe that you are on the right track presently.
Are we in a spot where we would have to camp for the night, or are we capable of continuing moving forward?
It's kind of midday. You're good to continue moving forward, and your attendants know better than to complain if they start feeling tired.
Well, yeah, because I'll pop their head like a pimple. I would love to continue forward if Sarah's cool with it.
Well, yeah, we ought to.
Yep. As you guys continue forward, the day kind of goes without much circumstance. The scouts eventually return with various cave creature and meagerly foraged mountain berries. They're able to put together a pretty decent stew from it for you that you do break to make for a while as you allow the scouts to travel the paths a bit further ahead. The stew is decent. It's meaty. It's very flavorful. The berries are tart and almost like a little bit unripe, so it gets kind of like this vinegary flavor to it. It tastes almost like a tomato base.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, technically, tomato is a fruit. I don't know. We're not going to get into that debate.
It is, but it's typically not a mountain berry.
I was going to say, you want to have the fight, Sarah?
Up your dukes and fight me on this minor point.
All right, bye. Contested smarts rolls. Let's
tomato, potato. Let's call the whole thing off.
Yeah. As you finish up your meal, though, and you ready yourselves to get back, and some of the scouts come back for their report, one scout does not return.
Oh. So wait, did we send all the scouts in the exact same direction, or did they branch out?
They fan out, kind of in they'll travel together for a while until they find a split in the path, and then they'll head out a certain distance before turning back, basically. So they would travel together and then fan out as they discover new paths.
What is this scout's name?
Go ahead and give me a smarts roll. I'll see if you remember it.
Oh, poor meat shields. That's a 10.
Hey!
His name was Darren.
Well done, Lani.
His name is Darren. Darren the Scout.
Wow, I feel like you put so much thought into that.
He did think about it, because that's Darren.
If I can turn to one of those in his group and just beckon them over.
They would approach silently, and like obviously they've been kind of like murmuring amongst themselves, and you can sense from them that they believe something is amiss, but the one that you beckons, and
one of your number is missing. Where is he?
It's unclear, ma'am.
When did you last see him?
Well, Darren split off from Trevik a bit ago. They were making their way to the southwest, I believe. He never returned at the meeting point for us, so we returned here. Would you like us to go check for you?
One moment. I will turn my attention to the southwest and fan out my consciousness to see if I can ping this guy.
If he is out there and conscious, he is not within your range at the moment.
Is there anything besides him I can ping?
Go ahead and give me a strange.
Okay. That's an 11.
It's faint. Just because it's kind of on the fringe of where you're able to delve ping your ear to. But there is something there, and it is curious and kind of worried.
Can I get a sense of how powerful it is?
It's nothing compared to you.
Fair enough. Turn to Varric. Do you want to take care of this ourselves?
It is clear that they cannot handle it.
She doesn't exactly disagree with that, but she is a little mildly kinder when she turns back to the scouts and says, "You may return to the base. We will take care of this."
We'll set up camp here and await your call.
Thank you. Varric?
I assume you weren't able to ping Donald.
Darren. No.
What did I say?
No, I don't think it matters.
I believe
I
that's
hardly
what I
remembered
said.
myself. But I have pinged to something else that might be interesting.
Let's hope it's more useful than his body.
Oh, there's always use in even in a body. Let us off.
Yeah, we out.
All right, you begin traveling up the path to where you were told to travel. Meanwhile, let's see here. Wizen.
Yes.
Been a couple of days since the Dreadlord Needhog flew out on his mission of subjugation. He left with High Commander Yorick and a good number of shock troops in tow. So the Caldera, his dread fort, has basically been working with kind of a skeleton crew. There's the metal woman still kind of wandering around, and a good number of lizard folk, and of course the fire newts always getting under feet. A scout kind of like wandering around, looking like he looks kind of frantic at the moment. Lizard folk man, and one thing that the lizard folk have kind of started to do around here, they've been taking red sediment and kind of rubbing it all over their skin to try to be a little bit more red of scale. He's wandering around, and as you pass, you kind of hear him whispering to another scout, have you seen Commander Yorick anywhere? And then he catches your eye. And he starts wandering over to you.
His head sort of twists and he turns his whole body towards this individual who's approaching him.
Over the years that you've been here, you've begun to get a lot of, well, respect from Yorick specifically, which has in turn turned into respect from Needhog, who finds you immensely entertaining. So in their absence, you're often looked as kind of like a begrudging authority figure to some of these lizard folk. They don't seem to like you at all because you are not of scale, but as he approaches you, you can see kind of like the reluctance as he approaches. There's been a report from a forward scout. More invaders moving in the territory. These ones had a peculiar uniform.
Peculiar uniform, you say?
Yes, I was told they had a sigil. They were similar uniforms to previous intruders, but these ones, they had the clasp, what these were, badges.
Badges, yes.
They are possibly important and not alone.
Well, I suppose it is only courteous to ride out to meet them. I will ascertain their reasons for being here.
Yes, I will deliver the message to the High Commander and the Dreadlord.
See that you do.
He nods, kind of giving you the side eye as he does. You can't help but feel like he's giving you the dirty work.
He bows to him anyway.
as he wanders off to go put together a traveling party to go try to find the Dreadlord.
Could I do some sort of check to, based off of the description he gave me, identify those where those badges or uniforms might have come from?
Sure, he would have given you a basic description that they wore traveling clothes, and well, actually, you've gotten descriptions in the past of scouts that have traveled through here wearing a similar uniform, kind of a blue-lined cloak with, for the most part, kind of like almost like a Rocky camouflage sort of look to them, like very slates, but they are always trimmed with blue and silver. But go ahead and give me a smarts roll to see if you can.
Smarts, eh?
Aye.
That's an 8.
Well, based on the direction they were coming, you can't say for sure what the badge itself means. Mostly because he didn't really have a good description of it, as he's apparently given you secondhand information to begin with. But you also aren't really familiar with anything that's going on in the north. But based on the direction, you do know that this would be somebody from the Midnight Kingdom, as a lot of their scouts have been kind of taken and killed as they approach your territory. Most travelers are, for that matter. But this particular uniform is something that's been happening a little bit more frequently than usual. But now that it has a badge, that probably means something new.
Interesting. Curious. And he'll begin preparing himself to go out and meet these individuals as well.
All right. You grab your equipment and you start heading down the trail. Meanwhile, back on said trail. Let's see here.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful wizard of mountains.
Yeah, as you've been traveling,
I'm not skipping with you, Varric.
You cut through the mountain pass, and you find yourself. Go ahead and both of you give me a wits check as you're kind of like crossing into this territory that you believe Darren. I think that's the name I gave. Died.
Darren.
Yeah, it was Darren.
Good.
Good old Darren. That's a 15. That's a perfect
That's
roll.
an 11.
There's an unmistakable scent in the air, the scent of fresh blood. And the scent of old blood. And the buzzing of flies. And soon it kind of makes sense as you kind of crest around this little rocky path. You start to notice, kind of impaled on various spikes, the warning signs made manifest of why most people should not be traveling this way. A lot of bodies in various states of decay, strung up and tied to old burned mountain trees.
Yeesh.
A fresh trail of blood leads you very quickly and easily, leads your eye to what looks to be a dusty lizard folk currently strapping the body of their latest quarry to a tree kind of in the rear of the line.
Would that be our Darren?
You would assume so. He's bloodied. Looks like he had a few arrows shot into him.
So definitely dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does this person look like they're just scavenging the body, or do they look like they have the equipment to have potentially killed him?
He does have a bow on his back, a quiver on his back as well, a short sword at his side. They're very meager in terms of their ostenticity, but anything with a blade is sharp, I suppose, as long as your body can be cut by them. He's currently does not notice you, and is currently just trussing up your scout.
Seeing the body of one of his guardians being packed up like luggage, you will notice Varric's hands start to move up, and he looks like he's about to cast a barrier unless you stop him around this particular individual.
Holds her hand out.
Do you not want to question him first? If he lives here, he might know where our quarry is.
We can question him before I crush him.
Good point. As you will.
I would like to encase this gentleman in a barrier.
All right, give me a roll plus strange, and if it's not a success, you can re-roll the lowest number, or the lower die, as he is currently unaware of you.
All right, let's see what happens. That's going to be a success. That's an 11.
Good enough. As he finishes, he kind of like steps back to like look at his work, and then all of a sudden, all around him there's a barrier just entrapping him. His arms are kind of like held tight to his side as he looks panicking left and right. He is definitely freaked out.
Varric will hold out his hand, almost like he's got the barrier in the palm of his hand, and he will just slowly start to encase this person and crush him, not to kill him, but to inflict a little bit of pain before releasing it as he approaches.
All right, you start to compact him as his shoulders and clavicle start like pressing together. You can start to see his ribs kind of bend inward as his knees kind of have to get closer together. His head starts to compress down a little bit until he's in this very uncomfortable, contorted position, and you turn the barrier to face you. And his eyes go wide, and these slits of his pupils contract immensely upon viewing your glorious visage.
Is it like a look of recognition, or?
Recognition and terror.
Do you know who we are?
It does not seem to speak the language you're speaking.
This thing had better speak in a tongue I can understand, lest he lose it.
That's an interesting idea. Could I mess with his memories and make it so he does know how to speak our language? Like, whatever language he speaks now, can I just switch it?
All right,
teach him common retroactively.
Teach him common, yeah.
You know what? Go ahead and give me a roll plus strange. -1.
Oh, come on, Sarah.
You do...
Oh, that's please. A 6.
That's a 6.
Can you understand half of it? Every other word.
A 6 is a fail, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The -1 was basically because you don't know what language he's speaking, so you don't know a root language to base the language that he needs to learn off of.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I can sense emotions at least, so.
Right now, for free, I'll give you he's scared.
Oh yeah. Wow, by my powers combined, I'm so good at this. Shakes her head.
If only I knew what language he was speaking. Well, what do we do with him then? Oh, I know.
Can I look into his head to see where he came from? Where's his base?
That you can definitely do. Go ahead and give me a roll plus strange.
Let's see if it works this time. That's an 11.
As he starts kind of like saying phrases. You see in your mind's eye a bubbling, brewing inferno of molten rock, and above it the silhouette of a massive creature with a 4 clawed legs, a long serpent-like neck, and a massive wingspan. In front, kind of silhouetted in front of a torrent of bubbling, explosive magma.
That's promising. And what direction would that be exactly?
Looking into his head. I'm not asking him, I'm looking.
Yeah, you see the path that he had tread. It's not horrifically far from where you are. Maybe a half hour to 2 hour, like maybe like an hour or two by foot from here.
Perfect.
Now. Actually, yeah. She'll glance at Varric and be like,
Do you mind if I try something before you kill him?
Varric will kind of exhale deeply, but you would know that that's an acknowledgement of go ahead.
if I am able, I don't know if it works because I can't, like, we can't speak the same tongue, but maybe this will work mentally. I would like to mind trick him into... I basically want him to take the body of our fallen scout back to our camp. Because I'm kind enough not to at least give this guy a decent burial. But I don't want to do it myself. We're busy.
Alright. Go ahead and give me a roll plus strange. That's just, you're basically giving him a compulsion, something that doesn't really need words.
That's a 14.
His eyes dilate for a moment, like the slits in his pupils, dilate, and then they refocus. And while he's still very much uncomfortable, his fear is replaced by anxiety.
You can release him, Varric.
Release him.
A little task for him.
Turns to him.
Take that body down and take it back to our camp. And then, well, your choice. You can either kill yourself there or let our scouts do it for you.
I will release the barrier.
His tongue flicks out as if he's getting a taste of fresh air for a moment. He mutters something aloud. And then he starts moving towards the tree and starts to untie the body he had just trussed up there. It's at about this time you start hearing, Wizen, would you approach stealthily?
If he sees some nonsense going down ahead of him, then he will approach stealthily, yes.
Give me a wits first, then, to see if you see before you are noticed.
That's a failure. That's a 5.
All right,
Oh, I'm gonna
you know
ping
what?
So fast.
Sarah could match that if she rolls 2-1, so I want both of you guys to roll wits real quick.
Sure.
All right.
That's a success.
That's not gonna...
That's a crit. That's a crit.
Okay, so, Wizen, as you approach and you see, Varric, how tall are you again? Like 7 feet tall? 6'11", something like that? You know what, go ahead and describe yourself for the people at home. Oh, hello?
Oh, for me? Yeah.
Yes.
So the demonic presence that you see before you looks like a giant scale and bone-laden creature. He seems to have bone-like structures that protrude out of his shoulders and out of his head that form almost like boomerang-type horns. But you can also see that there are scales that make up his chest, abs, and also down his leg. And he has a long, almost dragon-like tail that has little bone spurs that pop out all the way towards the tail. and an almost skull and dragon-like face. It's a weird combination of the bones of some kind of reptilian creature, but not a lot of scales.
So something that you're relatively familiar with, but remixed in such a horrifying, monstrous way. And Liara, would you like to describe yourself real quick as to what he sees while you're putting the sweet nothings into this poor lizard man's head?
You will see. You see her back. So what you see is this pair of black wings that would be very, very pretty if they weren't attached to her back by what looks more like a gnarled branch than a wing bone. Very pale gray skin, short black hair. Again, you can't see her face yet, but she's got freaky wings to start with.
You have heard tale from past traveling companions of creatures such as these, but this is your first time glimpsing upon anything like them. They almost have sort of like an energy that they project through the air, an aura that you're standing in that just makes you nervous. And as you can feel your hand kind of start to tremble as you try to rest it on a rock, and that rock gives way, and clack, 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 clack. They instantly look up and notice you. You see Wizen. Go ahead and describe yourself for them.
And what they notice is a bird standing as tall as a man, perhaps even taller. It is a humanoid version of a shoebill stork. His eyes are sort of a piercing, dull green that are the color of dollar bills. He is adorned in long, flowing robes, harem pants, sort of almost a black sweater underneath as well, and adorned with various bits of jewelry. He also notice that he has a pair of twin scimitars that are hanging around his waist.
I will say,
and his wings sort of flap idly behind him.
I will say, for the sake of your employment, your garb has shifted to be a bit more on the dark red side, just to kind of match your surroundings and the people that you are working with.
Indeed, what once was a sort of a bubblegum pink robe is now more of a dark red.
Liara's eyes immediately flick to Varric.
Varric.
Oh, that would help. Does this person look hostile, or do they look like they're just trying to sneak up on us, or what?
I'm just observing.
Observing.
But I was sneaking, definitely.
Observing and sneaking, but poorly.
Ed, does it matter?
No, I would like to raise my hand again, unless my compatriot stops me. I want to prepare.
Oh, no, I was saying Varric as in, hey, Varric, you want to get this guy, please?
All right, so
I would like to bubble.
You're going to try to entrap him.
I would like to bubble.
All right, Wizen, how would you like to try to defend yourself? You have seen that this creature has been able to at least manifest, or at its command, a shield that was once around that lizard man is gone. So you see him start to make a hand gesture towards you. What is your initial reaction?
He will raise his hand in sort of a similar gesture, and he will say, "Let's calm ourselves."
All right, Varric, roll plus strange.
Cool. It's a 9.
If I may interject.
If you're choosing not to actively defend yourself against the bubble, then it will go around you.
Okay, he'll just look around in the inside of the bubble and just sort of observe.
All right, you are currently at Varric's mercy.
Excellent. And hail hydrate and welcome.
Wait, hail hydrate?
Hail hydrate.
Is that what you just said?
It sure is.
So basically, as the bubble is forming, you just get a let's not call ourselves.
Noticing that his new position, he just sort of hangs his head to the side and shakes his head and sort of looks up at his now captors, I suppose.
Does he seem completely disinterested and not really bothered by being encased?
He looks relatively calm.
Is he, you said he's above us, sort of, on a, like a ledge or something?
Yeah, kind of on like a rocky cliff face that overlooks your area.
Liara will take flight and sort of settle herself down next to him where he is.
There's a tree branch or like a tree root just kind of sticking out of the cliff side that you can kind of sit down on.
I'm also going to apply a little bit of pressure, but not to make him as uncomfortable as the last person, seeing as how I'm vaguely intrigued by how unconcerned he is, but also a little annoyed. So I'm going to, like, split the diff.
It's a little awkward. You have to crouch a bit.
Yeah, like my like wings are sort of forming a cocoon around me now because of the pressure.
You're basically you're basically forced down to Liara's height as she kind of sits down on the tree branch next to you.
Yeah, he'll grumble and he'll sort of try to make himself as comfortable as possible inside of this new situation.
Essentially, Varric, are you just going to like make him kneel, kind of?
Essentially.
Okay.
This is more just showing that he is now being controlled, but not trying to inflict a ton of punishment because we also need to talk to him.
All right.
So, do I have to roll, or can I just sort of like, get a ping on his surface emotions?
Surface emotions for a player, I don't know. Wizen, are you trying to guard your mind against this creature or try to guard your mind in general?
If I saw her charm one of our scouts and him obey her, then absolutely I would try to guard my mind against her.
Then give me a strange versus charm.
All right.
Am I rolling charm?
You are rolling charm.
That's a perfect roll. That's a 15.
Alrighty. That's a 10.
All right, so Liara, you have access to basically... Wizen, how are you feeling right now?
Uncomfortable. This isn't quite what I was expecting. Let's see where this goes. Wonder if I'll live.
Yeah, basically you get a, sure hope I don't die here.
But are you terribly concerned about the other guy, or what's up?
He's thinking like, well, that's odd. That's not gonna be good.
Yeah, it is curious that the scout has currently untied the freshest body that you see down there, and is currently like firemen's carrying him off back down the path that these two look like they came from.
You also get the ping of so really invaders, not diplomats.
Smiles at that.
Depends on your point of view.
To Varric, she's just like,
Now, Varric, don't be too rough.
All right, you have been.
This is me not being rough.
cocks her head at you, and yet you can now see her sort of oddly bird-like features for someone who looks way more human than you thought she would.
He'll sort of like scratch with one of his talons on the barrier to see its durability. Wizen.
Wizen. Who are you affiliated with, then?
I am affiliated with my Lord Needhog, Lord of the Colossus Caldera.
Do we know that name? Do we know that person?
I'll say go ahead and give me a roll plus smarts plus 1, just because this is a typical geographical thing.
I will take that +1.
Oh, I'll get a bear +1.
That's
nice.
still a fucking partial, because I suck.
That's a 7 with the +1, so that's
Okay.
not terrible.
And bear in mind, you can add the buff to the roll.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just a +1.
Yeah,
So.
no worries. just for the future. You know of the Colossus Caldera. You know that it's like, this is just you trying to rack your brain in geography, something that you don't care too much about, especially in a territory that's like, whatever. You know that it is a semi-dormant volcano that borders the central part of the continent to the western part of the continent.
Oh, that's it? Nothing about, like, what kind of person Needhog is or whatever?
You only got a partial success. I'm giving you the
I was gonna
geography.
say, yeah, we don't get everything.
This is the first time you're hearing the name Needhog outside of the inane gibberish mumblings of the lizard man that you just charmed.
Looks Wyvern over.
You seem slightly out of place. As opposed to your
Perhaps
friend
far
over
from
there.
your nest, little bird.
Many of my comrades would say the same.
Can I ping on that?
I was gonna say, what's the inside check on that?
Honestly, since you still have access to his like very surface level ideations, yeah, he's not well respected by the typical soldiers in the Kuldara.
So basically, you say comrades, but there's no attachment here, is there?
Yeah,
It's loose.
he has.
He does try to do his best, but yeah.
He has the eye of both the Dreadlord and the Dreadlord's top officer.
Oh, so they respect him?
The top officer seems to respect him. The Dreadlord is amused by him, but for all you can gather, the Dreadlord likes him.
That must be an interesting story. This, Needhog. What type of being is he?
He sort of cranes his head to the side for a moment, closes his eyes in contemplation. He is lord of this caldera by right of conquest. He is all-powerful. He is a great force.
That image of the great beast standing in front of the plume of lava shoots through your head once more, Liara.
And what is of your allegiance to him? You are loyal?
I serve as his entertainer. I do my job well. And on occasion, I am granted permission to see over the Kuldara in his absence.
Do you like your job?
I like it very much. And he gives a genuine smile.
Do you actually?
He does enjoy what he does.
Okay.
Lanny's like, interesting.
I am genuinely curious because like I cannot speak for the character. I simply must ask as the
Overseer.
yeah.
Oh, okay, wait. So you like your job in terms of what it allows you to do, but do you like your job in terms of, like, how do I put this? I don't know, I guess I'm wondering how loyal you are to this group. Like, if you could do this job somewhere else and do this kind of thing somewhere else.
I will
would you
say
be
that you'll
willing to-
probably need to make another strange versus charm roll to get the full answer to get the answer to that one.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Eh?
That's a 13.
Dear Lord.
That's 12.
God.
Ooh, that's
Oh!
close. Okay, the way I'll put it, there is something more to this job. He does enjoy it. What is it? Is it the status of this job that you enjoy? Is it just the fact that, holy shit, this is like, I am the head entertainer to a motherfucking dragon kind of vibe that you're getting out of it, or?
It's sort of a thrill to him to be in the presence of things that could very easily kill him and still, be of some use and some entertainment.
He seems less loyal per se to the Dreadlord and its ideals than he does to the fact that this entire job is just very exhilarating to him. There's more to it, but that seems to be kind of like buried and locked away deep down within his mind.
You like the thrill, then?
I'm sure you're getting plenty, my lady.
Smiles.
You could as well. If you were interested.
Interested in what? By the way, you haven't introduced yourselves yet. Do you plan to?
That does seem fair. Liara.
Wait, what's my full title?
You are Liara, mistress of lyricism.
I am Liara, mistress of lyricism.
Lyricism? Very intriguing. And the big one who doesn't seem to like me very much.
This is my indifference, and you will refer to me as Varric.
Varric.
I haven't asked yet, Lani or Connor, whoever knows the answer to this. What type of music am I pinging off this guy's brain?
What kind of a music do you think Wizen kind of exudes personality-wise? It's funny because I think you made It's funny because I think you made a Twitter post some time ago talking about like how every character you've made has had some sort of musical influence.
Oh, useful.
I can believe that.
You know how The Witcher has that sort of string instrument that sounds a little bit haunting?
Ooh, I like that. Liara
Just sort
would
of
do that.
a haunting, exhilarating sort of music to him.
Like a boisterous dirge.
Mm-hmm.
Your song is very, very intriguing.
You've heard
Varric?
of my music.
Your music specifically.
And she doesn't really care if he understands that or not. She's not going to extrapolate on it.
He cocks his head a little bit. Doesn't seem to understand much.
Eric, I like this one. Do you think he could be of use?
That is not our decision to make.
And he's going to look you very square in the eye.
What say you?
She sort of leans in and she puts the cards on the table.
Have you heard the name Ramses?
Yes.
Have I?
You know about what's maybe not about current goings on in the north, but you know of the hierarchy vis-a-vis like the past 4 years.
Yeah, just a brief flash through his mind of everything he's heard. Oh, most definitely. Am I to assume you are here on his orders?
He is our father. Would it entertain you to dance and sing for him?
He opens his mouth and closes it, tilts his head.
You hear the clack of the beak.
I love that you're a shoe bill. I love those things.
I think it would be exhilarating in such a circumstance. However, my current loyalties somewhat prevent me from doing so, seeing as how you are invaders. I would gladly perform for your Ramses if your plan is to kidnap me and force me into this servitude.
I would rather not. My methods of doing that don't leave people, quite whole, if that makes sense. However,
So I should assume that the one that you've charmed and sent away, I will not be seeing again.
an eye for an eye.
Is that how it is up north?
It can be.
Intriguing.
But your term invader is not quite correct.
No.
That is your word, not ours.
We are here simply more for information on your Needhog, as it were. Potentially, we might have similar goals to them. We are here to find out if those goals may align.
Well, you could have sent a letter.
Smiles.
The buzzing of the flies on the many corpses on the trees.
Oh yeah, sort of looks at him, looks over at that. Gestures.
You understand.
Do you understand?
A lot of their scouts have died, although none of them were carrying letters, to be fair.
He shrugs. I understand. None of them were carrying letters.
She actually laughs at that. Just like,
That is fair. Will you take us to your leader in that case?
Now there is going to be a bit of a problem with that for the time being. And he sort of folds his arms and he cocks his head. You see, my Lord Nidhogg is currently not present.
Where might he be?
I was only given a vague idea of where he was going, correct?
Going to conquer a bit more territory, basically root out the last remaining, trying to either get an offering or trying to root out the last remaining, people from a tribe of, I guess, lycanthropes.
There are some dissenters in the West that do not approve of my Lord Nidhogg's methods, and he was off to quell that rebellion.
No. Understandable. Well,
yeah, above game then. What do we do? Like, how long? I guess I can ask.
how long is he gone?
Typically, when he interjects himself, this is for you, Wizen, when he interjects himself, the mission does not take very long. He left a couple days ago. Odds are he'll be back within a day or so, unless the God of War decides to intercede. In which case, it might be a prolonged battle, but the God of War is lazy.
Taking everything into consideration. Perhaps a day or so.
Marvelous.
Now, is your friend going to... And I look down at Varric, and can I roll Strange to project my voice into his ear?
Absolutely. You have access to bardic magics.
8.
It's successful
Let me
enough.
go.
You can tell immediately that it is a arcane trick, but yes, his voice does appear directly in your ear.
Varric, why not a show of good faith?
I currently have him elevated off the ground, yes?
Currently, you have him kneeling on the ground in this bubble that you've kind of shrunk around him.
Oh, okay. Then I will release said bubble.
You feel pressure alleviate off your back and wings.
He spreads his wings and flaps them a couple of times, joints creaking a bit as he stands to his full height. Much better.
Your scouts and whatnot have killed several of ours, so you understand why we have taken one of yours in retaliation. I hope there will be no hard feelings.
He looks down at the pile of bodies. Well, no hard feelings from me.
Hopefully from your higher-ups as well. In which case, we do seek an audience with your Nidhogg. Might we pass safely to see him and await his arrival?
He scratches underneath his beak. And he looks down, looks in contemplation. Intriguing. Perhaps I shall escort you to the caldera. Whether my Lord Nidhogg deigns to let you both leave this caldera, his caldera, will be up to him.
Above game, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
Is it... I'm fine with going right now, but I'm also inclined to have him go back and ask first, and we can go wait at base.
I'm actually okay with that, because if we presume an audience, it's going to potentially put us in bad favor right off the bat. So I'm cool with respecting his authority over these lands, as reluctant as I might be to wait in the cold.
Yeah,
So yes,
we'll do
I'm
a little
cool with waiting
ping
at
back
base.
and forth with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps more respectfully, you shall return and ask of an audience for us, and we will wait for you to report back to us. As another show of respect to your lord.
Finally. Very well. Then I shall return when I have my lord's answer.
She will reach out a hand and pause and go,
If I may, so you know where to come.
He tilts his head.
she will reach a hand and gently just touch the side of his head. And do I need to roll to sort of implant the image of where he needs to come to find us?
That depends on if he's going to guard his mind again.
Well, do you trust me?
Not really.
I mean, she'll give a slight smile and say,
I promise no ill intentions.
I'm still...
You could also just tell me.
Words are so flimsy sometimes. This is easier.
For you, maybe.
just smiles.
She
She won't force it on you, but her hand is still outstretched.
I will find you.
Smiles again and retracts her hand, or withdraws her hand, retracts.
Very well.
Her wings sort of flex, and she takes off from the branch and goes back to the ground to join Varric.
He'll sort of give a deep bow to them both. Lady Liara, Lord Varric.
Wizen.
He will spread his
give you a
wings.
very slow nod.
He'll spread his wings and take to the sky and to return back to the caldera.
Alright, you make your way back to the caldera and await Nidhogg's arrival. Meanwhile, Varric and Liara, I'm guessing you guys head back to the camp that you left?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sort of. I wonder what happened to that poor lizard folk.
It's not too late if we want to save him.
Do you want to save him?
So above game, Bosco Brain says it's probably smart not to kill his dudes before we negotiate with him. In game, I'm very hard pressed to have Varric make that argument, although he might.
Again, I point out they killed a lot of our dudes. This is
True, but we're also trying to negotiate with them. Varric's of the mind like, hey, it's one versus a lot, but Bosco above game is like, this could still look bad.
When you do arrive back, you do see that the dragon, or the lizard folk that was carrying the dead body has been restrained. He is currently tied up. And like they essentially kind of like tied him to the lifted roots of a tree. And he's very much struggling, like panicking. The people that are there would inform you that upon setting the body down in camp and everybody just being very confused by this whole ordeal, it immediately took out a sword, and so they kind of like tackled it and disarmed it.
Fair enough.
Liara, what you can get off of this thing's mind is it's very, very anxious to drive that sword into its own stomach, as was the last thing that you put into its brain.
You know what? After having this discussion with Wizen and whatnot, she will just sort of be like,
Ah, all right, enough of that.
she will pluck the impulse out of his head, as though she were just sort of like flicking a little bit of dust off of a violin string.
All right, let's see how well you return him to his old self. Give me a roll plus strange.
Fair enough. That's 10.
All right.
Wow.
Hey.
He goes from anxiously trying to untie himself to stab himself in the gut to panicking and trying to untie himself from being trapped in an enemy camp.
Got it.
All
Perfect.
right.
Excellent shift.
And while you await the message from Wizen and the returning Lord Needhog, here is where we will take a break. Hey guys, Lani here. I just wanted to thank you for rolling with us. And if you wanted to catch us live, you can do so almost every Monday at 5 o'clock Central Time over on twitch.tv/Lanipator. Now, back to the show. While Liara and Varric camp for the night, Wizen, you return to the caldera. And a few of the eyes around you, go ahead and give me a wits roll real quick as you're wandering back into the Dreadfort.
9.
You can tell you're getting a few glances from some of the lizard folk who were, no doubt, you know, they talk behind your back all the time, usually in a language you don't understand. Though you've begun to pick up certain words that they refer to you as.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a few glances of some that are surprised that you've returned, basically, is what you're kind of picking up. But nothing that's nothing outwardly catches your ear. As you wander further into the Dreadfort, kind of heading back to your you have your own little cubby of a cave that you kind of nestle in. Well, I guess nested is a good word for you. You've decked it out with like some silks that the Dreadlord has bequeathed upon you, and have sewn yourself a hammock. This place is slowly coming together into like a small society, but in this space, if ever there is something of real value, the Dreadlord covets it, and covets it very hard. If he ever gives anything out or allows people to have something of any form of luxury, it is usually because they have earned his favor in some ways. It's odd. The Dreadlord sometimes has flashes, moments of what you would almost arguably call humanity. But those moments are few and far between. You hear the tinny clangs of the metal individual wandering the halls.
How well have I gotten to know them over my time here?
You've obviously spoken to them. They speak to you in a rather textured female voice. They are very sad. And for at least the last half of a year, they started getting quieter and quieter as you've been around I think they understand what you're doing here. They clearly don't seem to like. They have their own objective and their own attachment to Needhog. Go ahead and actually give me a charm roll to see how much you know of that, because there was a time where this individual was much more talkative.
That's a 13.
They have a very close relationship to Needhog. You would almost call it familial. But
does it go both ways?
It does not. Nidhogg would not harm this being, but almost kind of pays it no mind when it is around. Almost like looks through it. Though, this particular connection has really weighed on this automaton-like creature, the Arcanaton. Go ahead and give me a wits roll again.
That's 10.
And as you see the Arcanaton pass, it kind of locks eyes with you for a moment and then continues walking. And for just a moment, you see it again, the shape of a man in the shadows, creeping behind it. A being that doesn't really make itself known to you or to anybody. But there is, you are now, like, you are 100% convinced that there is another humanoid creature here that is attached to this being. You have yet to truly track it down and meet it, though. But yet again, for just a flash of a moment as you watch the shadows behind the Arcanaton pass, it too follows in kind. You start setting your stuff aside, realizing that you no longer have to prepare yourself for battle when the telltale gust of wind shoots through the central corridor of the caldera. The hurricane-like winds of blustering heat. You know best to kind of like shield your face and eyes with your wings as it kind of blisters past you. Not enough to do damage, but if this heat hits your eyes directly, God, does it sting. The Dreadlord has returned as you hear the mighty thud in the central chamber.
Wyzen will stand up and go to prepare to greet his lord.
As you dust yourself off and make sure your finery is looking its finest, you hear the chorus of the fire newts start to chant in like one by one as they begin to gather and wander towards Nidhogg, 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 Nidhogg. As they do their little Whoville gathering around their massive, to essentially their little primitive brains, god. And you know what? Needhogg may as well be in this territory. As you make your way to the center of the dread. That I didn't realize I disconnected. Weird.
Yeah, the stream buffered for a little bit, but we were worried your computer had reset again.
Oh, my bad. I was wondering why everything looked
good?
so pixelated. Yeah, like my computer didn't reboot. That was just my internet being fucky. All right.
Yeah.
So I'll rewind a little bit. So as you begin to head towards the center of the Kuldara, the fire newts chanting Nidhogg, 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 cutting kind of a path for you as you walk in. These fire newts, they do treat you with respect because the Dreadlord finds amusement in you. Therefore, to them, you are a central figure of authority. Not that they do much other than get underfoot and burn things. You...
Wiseman says in Orin, at least someone respects me around here.
Yeah. They cut a path through you as you walk towards the central cave leading into the volcanic pits of the Kuldara. And there, resting on a rock, kind of preening himself with his front claws as he stretches his wings, is the mighty red dragon, the Dreadlord Needhog. As he looks around, and he looks around, and eventually his eyes catch you as you wander into the chamber, and of course bow in subjugation. As outside you just hear Needhog, 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 and then he lets out a and the chanting stops.
Did something happen in my absence, bird? Or are you just here to sing me a song?
Something has happened, my Lord Needhog.
Oh, then tell me
before-
the tale.
Before we get to that, might I just say congratulations on a successful outing?
Hardly worth the congratulations, merely getting rid of the last of a few stragglers.
Of course, my lord.
Little cretins, they don't have anything even worth offering. Their blood, hardly worth it.
Perhaps something of note from the news that happened in your absence, my lord. Sorry, something stuck in my throat.
He stares at you.
A group of... He cocks his head to the side. Travelers from the north. People of some minor import. Supposedly the beings behind the messengers that have been taken care of. They're here wondering why their messengers are dead.
The interloping snoops, you mean?
Of course, my lord.
Have they been dealt with?
They wished an audience with you, my lord. It seems they have something mutually beneficial to offer you.
An offering? Well, had they led with that previously, maybe there'd be a few fewer corpses guarding our pass.
I told them as much, my lord.
Very well. If their offering is worth it, perhaps I will grant them an audience.
He bows. Shall I send them up to you, my lord?
Are they already here?
They have an encampment outside of our borders.
They know to keep their distance. These ones are wiser than the others. Very well.
Though...
Send them. Tell them they have my blessings to cross through my lands.
He does a deep bow, like he usually does. And he will spread his wings, and he will begin searching for the encampment.
All right. As you fly out, the evening sun, you can still see it off to the west, though to anybody to your east, it has already crested beyond the mountains. Luckily, the volcano, the volcanic portion of the Caldera is actually a very easy place to take off from, given the spouts of heat that give you a nice little boost into the air. It's a little painful on the ascent, but it does make gravity a bit easier to deal with. As you take off and begin using the torrents of air that swirl above to make your way through. Go ahead and give me a roll plus wits to see if you can spot their encampment.
Alrighty. That's a 10.
Ooh.
Sure enough, as the sun is setting, they do have a campfire lit, so you can see the smoke signal from a distance. And within an hour by flight, you're able to reach them. So, Varric and Liara, as you settle down, and another set of stew has been made for you, this time with, again, various cave creatures, cave game, some mountain goats, and various cave mushrooms kind of mixed together in a bit of a duxelle. You are feasting rather well this evening, as I want both of you to give me a wits roll as well.
All right. This is just one of those days where I'm going to have to roll my worst stats. Yep, that's a 5.
That's an 11.
Varric, you're just enjoying this meaty stew.
Yes.
Oh.
But Liara, you kind of hear, like, your ears are very tuned to the environment, and you hear a slight buffet to the wind. And as you look up in its direction, you see the approaching form of Wizen the Birdman.
And I catch the strings of that guitar sound.
Yep.
And she just smiles.
Oh, he's here, Varric.
Just start looking around.
I'm right behind you.
Right here.
You just see that trademark shoe-built death stare.
You will watch, because you've been with Varric enough, you will watch him instinctively open his hand like he's about to crush this man in a barrier, and then slowly just put it back and finish his meal.
All of the guards set to protect you immediately get into kind of a defensive position as Wizen approaches and kind of like lands in camp. They stand around you, and you have kind of this like phalanx of shields, arcane shields in front of you, Wizen. And a couple of the scouts have like pulled out their bows and short swords.
I will put up my hand at ease.
The shields slowly go out one by one, and the bows slacken, and short swords get resheathed.
Indeed, there is no need for any of that. I come bearing good tidings.
Do you? I assume then things went well.
My Lord Needhog has been informed of your presence and has been informed of your offer. Should your offering appease him, then a bargain might be struck.
Question for you, Lenny.
Uh-huh.
Just so that I'm not forgetting. We were specifically told to assess the situation. Were we given specific instructions on what we could offer, or is that at our discretion?
It's at your discretion. Ramses trusts you emphatically.
I
And the kingdom's the kingdom's resources are vast, and you have each of you has access to the purse strings should you need them.
I mean, I assumed we were offering allyship, but you know, we can offer more if that's the case too as well.
Based on how this guy
wants.
I was going to say, we have to determine what he wants, and I'm just curious what we're able to do in terms of negotiation, because chances are, hey, we just want to be allied. It's like, why? So, we're going to have to offer something. And I have a couple ideas, but we could talk about that when we're there.
Well, to start the offering.
She she sort of pings one of the brains of the scouts, and she basically is like, go get that lizard folk we have tied up.
They do. Upon seeing you, Wizen, as he's being like dragged forward, he goes from looking like panicked to looking panicked and concerned at the same time.
I draw my scimitar.
His eyes widen.
Like, no, let him cook.
And I cut his bonds.
He
Honestly, I was like, you could do. I was like, oh, what's if you kill him, it's not on us.
If
I
Varric
didn't
went
give
to
a
do
shit.
something, like if Varric went to do something, Alara was just gonna put a hand out, like, no, let him cook.
He's concerned, but he like he opens his eyes and like slowly starts to walk behind you, Wizen. Like
Can I in broken?
What's that?
Can I in broken draconic say like safe now?
Yes, absolutely. You can speak draconic like a caveman, basically.
Safe now.
Safe now, no fear.
Gratitude, Feather One.
He gives him a bow. He sheathes Echo.
Well, shall we then?
Yes, you have been given leave to travel through my Lord Needhog's lands. And he looks over at Liara. I urge caution, however.
I would.
No stunts like with this one, and he gestures to the lizard folk behind him. Or I will be forced to show you the other reason I am kept around.
Oh, she is delighted by you. She just smiles and just like...
Would he prefer if we left our little entourage here?
Would I have any knowledge of his preferences?
He doesn't know how many people you're bringing. He just said they have they have leave to walk through.
Why not? They can come along if they wish.
Excellent.
turns.
Prepare to leave. Just a few moments, if you will.
The scouts immediately begin, like, they give a salute, like, they pound their chest, and they immediately start tearing down camp. Within 5 minutes, this place is all sorted and packed. These guys are efficient.
Once everything is all packed up, Varric will gesture for our new compatriot to lead the way, and he will say, "After you, Jester."
To the entourage behind her, she will say,
Please keep in mind we are guests. On your best behavior, all of you.
They once again salute and bow.
nods to Wizen.
And you guys begin...
He smiles and he leads him up the caldera.
All right, you guys begin traveling up the mountain path towards the volcanic caldera. Since you're traveling with foot troops, it takes about an hour and a half because Wizen knows the way. And as you get past the pass where all of the bodies are strewn up on trees, there's kind of a hushed murmur that goes through your scouts, recognitions of, you know, this is what happened, this is, you know, but ultimately they remain silent and stoic, though it definitely had an effect on them traveling through this pass of dead compatriots.
I just realized something.
Yeah?
Wizen doesn't know it in character. At least I don't think he does.
Care to enlighten us?
Jeff the Ascended.
Yep. He is
Needhog
currently
killed him.
unaware of. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only things there that would have been able to tell that tale would have been Needhog himself, or the Fire Newts, which are bumbling idiots. So,
Needhog probably doesn't even remember.
do you remember how many breads you've eaten?
You feed.
Do you remember the last loaf of bread you ate with a good backstory?
This one's name was Jeff. Anyway. Yes. Wizen would not know that. Would not know about Jeff the Ascended.
Yes, but I, Connor, just remembered that.
Yep.
I'm like, oh. This may go poorly.
Yes, eventually you do make it to the volcanic layer of the Dreadlord. And then I can... There we go. Volcano sounds. As you approach the soot-blackened stone, you notice that a number... There is a large number of lizard folk here. All of them have various different stages of red clay kind of like rubbed over their scales. Kind of in like a crude approximation of a red dragon's scales. More like war paint than anything else. But they also have... some of them have very like rudimentary bits of armor on. And as you get closer and closer to the Kuldara itself, the heat is noticeably taking a bit of an effect on your companions that are traveling with you. To you guys, it's kind of like you're in the presence of Balrog, but much lighter. Like, there's just that ambient, dry heat that's continuing to circle around you.
There's not going to kill any of them, is there?
Oh, God, no. Wizen lives here.
Okay, they're fine.
You know, Wizen's been living here for a hot minute, and while he has
Like,
to drink...
suck it up, you
A
babies.
really hot minute.
Yeah, you've had to drink a lot more water than usual, but you eventually acclimated to this heat.
Yeah, it's suck it up, you babies.
Yeah, luckily as a bird, you do have the ability to kind of like fly up and get some sky for a little bit, but
I've got built-in fans.
yeah. Although in this case, that would just basically turn your area into a convection oven.
Ah, jeez.
Yeah.
Neat!
Well,
My room smells really good all of a sudden.
I get muffins all the time.
All right. Yeah, you start to see more and more of these lizard folk that have been given the good news and are standing down and standing aside. Liara, if you would like to roll strange, you can get a general vibe from most of them.
Sure. That's 12.
All right. They are very curious about you. Some of them seem worried, but only at the fact that you are new and different. They don't seem to gauge you guys as the threat that you know you could be. They seem very confident in the fact that they are under the protection of a great force. There are a couple of odd tunes that you feel in the area, though. Things that don't kind of mesh with everything. I mean, there's Wizen, who is different from the throng of lizard folk, and then the general white noise that is the brains of the fire newts. But there's one that's kind of this strange harmony, like two songs being played over top itself, and neither of them are playing the same tune. Almost like two jazz musicians trying to practice over each other. And another one that is kind of quiet and reluctant, like a violin player silently trying to play to themselves.
Can I pinpoint that? Who that is?
You can't pinpoint exactly who it is, but you do know that it is further into the base itself. Both of those appear to be together. Like the one with the two jazz musicians trying to play over each other, and the other one that is that sad violin playing alone to itself are both together right now. You travel further into the base, and yes, there are a lot of little fire newts just kind of wandering around, sometimes tripping over their own feet. They'll stop and look up at you and just say, then they'll crawl away.
Amusement.
They're like little fire puppies.
Aww.
And finally, Wizen leads you to the main hall. Well, what could ostensibly be the main hall. It was essentially a mountain face that has been carved out to be turned into a massive antechamber that leads to a cave that leads to the center of the volcano. In this antechamber, there are crude carvings of large draconic figures bearing teeth and spewing the approximation of like flames carved out of obsidian out of their mouths, and volcanic vents that lead from their noses that trickle out fire. These two massive dragon statues kind of sit at the side of the main gates of this chamber that leads to the inner sanctum of the Kuldara. Essentially, this is the space that, right before you would go in to greet the Dreadlord himself.
I am going to wait to be let in anywhere. I'm not going to presume anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Does our guide stop?
You would stop here if only just to introduce them to the space and let them know that this is where Nidhogg is. So feel free to do what you would there.
My lord awaits us in the next chamber.
Most impressive.
Indeed. He has carved out this large space for himself in a matter of small years.
Shall we then?
Very well. And he will lead them into Nidhogg's chamber.
As you wander into the chamber, it gets darker. There was a dark cloud forming overhead. There usually is over this area.
To the entourage following, she will, if Varric agrees, she will hold a hand out and say,
"Wait here."
In the room before we go ahead.
You're telling Varric to wait here?
No, I meant our entourage, if Varric agrees.
Varric will nod.
As you begin to wander into this chamber, specifically, Liara, you feel this kind of trembling in the air, this low, bassy vibrato that kind of echoes through your mind of the creature that lies within. But there's a strange... You both feel a very strange ping. Where did you get your jewels inlaid into your body?
I remember stabbing it into my hand.
I remember pressing it into my chest. Vaguely.
Where you where you had pressed your jewel into your body, you begin to feel this kind of like seismic vibration. You get this feeling whenever you're around your own kind, around the Ascended. You feel this kind of like pressure, this like a connected heartbeat that you feel when you're around your kind. as if you're approaching another. And as you step into the halls of the Dreadlord, as it greets you and sees your presence, it arcs itself up as a plume of orange hot magma streams up behind it and gives out a roll as it climbs up onto a pile it climbs up onto a rock from a pile of treasures that it has seized. It looks down at you as you step into his chamber.
For size context, is this essentially the size of an adult dragon?
Do you see the picture that's on the thing?
I do.
Ed?
I'm saying, is that the scale?
For size, yes, this is the size of an adult red dragon. It is maybe slightly larger than an adult red dragon. This thing is massive in size. Its wingspan at least 25 feet. As it looks down at you from this perch that's it uses as a throne.
So, these are the visitors in my realm.
And you can see him kind of like you can see this kind of contortion in his guts, as if it's like kind of like flexing a little bit, and you see it kind of like gyrate or undulate with the same type of tempo that you feel the pressure in your stones. The oof, oof, oof. Why do I feel?
Does Needhog usually act like this?
There does.
Or have I ever seen this before?
There does appear to be a odd change to his demeanor, just with this weird undulation in his guts. He kind of twists for a moment and looks down with a very stern and judgmental gaze.
Is there any physical sign of the pulsating at the sites where our gems went?
You feel it kind of like it to you. It feels like a small, gentle throb.
Mm-hmm.
But yours is also closer to the surface of your body.
Yeah. Does it show up physically at all?
You can kind of feel your muscle tense. Like every time you feel it, Liara, you almost feel this need to kind of like clench your fist just slightly. Like your fingertips will sometimes curl in on each other to the same tempo. And to you, Varric, your chest will, like your pec will flex a little.
I have a question. Does this dragon look like it's exhibited signs of having used the stone, or just has it on his presence, like on his body, like however a dragon would carry something? I guess that's what whether or not it's active in feeding him power, or whether he just has it.
I would ask whether he was made by the stone, or if like dragons are the source of these stones, maybe?
Go ahead and give me smarts plus 2.
Bless you.
Nice.
That's still
I know.
Oh,
well, that's a.
That's a 13.
There we go. Thank you, Sarah.
Varric, you don't pay attention in demon class.
Yeah, but Bosco's really curious. Go ahead, Sarah.
All right. Liara, you know that these stones were not of draconic origin. Before Nidhogg, there were only 3 dragons in existence, and they were the rulers of the Southern Kingdom. There was a massive war with your kingdom fought between these two, between those two forces. Nidhogg is the first dragon to be born in thousands of years. And it is possible to your mind that this stone is what created him, but you don't think that's the case. Because the only shard that could possibly have done this, that you know of that is in existence, because Ramses has kept a catalog of pretty much all of them. The only shard that went missing from that collection was the one that belonged to your departed brother Jeff, who died shortly after you were created.
I mean...
So, whatever... wherever this stone is, it was once in Jeff.
Oh, so this is Jeff's stone this guy got.
Yep. And currently
know
it is
that? Can we-
currently
can
it
we
is
feel
lodged
it?
currently it is lodged somewhere in his belly.
Stone of
Oh.
Jeff. Jeff Stone.
Oh, Jeff. I don't even know you.
Jesus. Well, he's certainly created a predicament.
Well, he got eaten by a dragon. So you know that about
Well,
him.
he should stop that. Come on, Jeff.
All right. Ed,
Well,
do you
that
mind if I
changes
take
things
a
a little bit.
gamble?
By all means, I will play off of you.
Liara will do a bow. She will bow very respectfully and say,
Dreadlord Needhog, you honor us with your presence. And
she will raise the hand that's sort of twitching and the pulsating and raise it up, and if he would like to examine it and say,
I believe we come from similar stock, as it were.
Varric will
Wyson
likewise,
sort of
his
Varric
floats
will
away
likewise-
from them.
he just does the
Wyson-
sign.
Wyson walks into the bushes.
He does the
He's just
peace
gonna
sign and
saunter away.
disappears.
Varric will likewise, over his chest where he pushed it in, put his fist and give a bow, and then expose said chest and let him watch the slight pulses that happen as the offer is given.
He looks you over curiously, his dragon sight seeming to see things that others cannot.
Jewels embedded in your very body. Peculiar. I had seen one similar once long ago.
Above game, do we know if he's talking about the one Father had?
He's probably talking about the one he ate.
I was gonna say Jeff, right?
He didn't last very long, however. Is this your offer? The stones in your
no.
flesh.
I wouldn't exactly know how to separate it peacefully. I'd prefer not if you don't mind.
Smiles. Like, in a way that she's very well aware that, like, well, you could probably just, like, take it by force if you really wanted. I prefer you didn't.
He gives you kind of a steely stare for a moment.
Then what is your offer? And what is your business?
Could I sort of
ahead.
float up somewhere and begin providing some background music, just some gentle conversation music?
Absolutely. Go ahead and give me
Some
a
smooth
roll plus
jam.
charm.
In the form of a counter charm?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll still be a roll plus charm.
Interesting. Oh,
11!
The music that you feel coming off of Nidhogg, Liara, is changed somehow by the dulcet tones of Wyzen's... What is your weird guitar called again?
Yarting?
His yarting.
I saw it on the instrument list and I was like, ooh.
ooh.
Yeah, I remember the name, looking at the list sometimes.
It's like a lute, but weird.
So you play your yart. As you,
Yart.
Yeah, he's yarding.
I yarded up.
You yarded up. And you seem to notice that Nidhogg's disposition changes as the music plays as well. And the throoming thud of his aura kind of mellows out a little bit. And he kind of relaxes on his forearms a little bit. The vibe that you're getting off of him is, once again, kind of one of turbulent conflict. But he seems to be less desireful of just ripping the gems out of you and is willing to hear you guys out.
Liara will look to Varric as though she wants to know if he would like to take this or would he like her to take it.
I mean, above game, I will say this. Stat-wise, you are the better negotiator. So if you would like me to give you my idea above game, I can do that, or we can just roleplay it out and you can back me up.
I mean, I can also technically just read your mind. It's
That
probably
is
how
true.
she probably just like, because you allow her, I assume you allow her to.
Yeah, you guys
Always.
have a telepathic connection.
So she looks to you as though she's just sort of like, do you have a thought or shall I go?
Varric's thought right now is to offer both an alliance, since we know that he is dealing with a rebellion and probably multiple rebellions. So this would be an opportunity to secure essentially one of the borders of his land, knowing that it will not be invaded and he would have assistance should he need it. And then on
that's
top
nice.
of that, now that we know he has the shard, if he doesn't know what that thing is, we could offer him knowledge about that
All right.
and why it makes him feel the way that he feels should he desire. Those were the two things that I thought of.
Dreadlord Needhog, you may have heard, my father Ramses has been dealing with his own quelling of problematic elements.
Has he? Fascinating.
Indeed. Through certain circumstances, he has been reborn into a great new form. Our preparations are going smoothly to quell those issues. As such, he would offer the same to you should you want it. Potential assistance if you should have similar issues.
My issue is not with rebellion. I simply seek to control the lands that are mine. None can stand to my might.
If we can offer any assistance in that realm, we would be happy to.
What assistance would you offer that I do not currently possess?
Thinking.
Our land has resources you may not. And also,
Looks to Varric.
I'm sure if you'd wish, my father would not mind loaning his generals to you every so often. We can be quite valuable, perhaps in missions that you would not have to bother anymore, if you would prefer not to greet them with your great presence.
Arms and armor. Fascinating. What quality do they hold?
Is he asking about our forces, what we can do?
He's asking you about the quality of your armors, your arms and your armor.
True, they're pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean, your nation is very wealthy and highly proficient in smithing and magical enchantment, so you might be, like, I mean, if you're able to, like, give him a deal on arms and armor for his troops, that's he does seem intrigued by that, but he does want to know of their quality.
Quite formidable.
She's going to take another gamble.
To say in words would take more time than I wish to take of yours. But if you will permit...
There are soldiers waiting in the other room with such armor.
Bring one.
I can... Oh,
He looks down at Liara with like a "don't fucking do it" gaze.
He's not gonna do anything, but fine. You're probably smart about this. She will. Is there anybody in here besides just us three and Big Dragon Boy?
It's just you guys and the dragon right now.
Well, actually, can I reach my mind to one of these soldiers out in the other room?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll just kind of reach out, ping one of the more impressive ones. I guess one of the vanguard, not one of the scouts, but one of the
actual soldiers.
One of the actual warriors.
Yeah, one of the frontliners. She'll ping his brain and say,
please come join us.
You get an acknowledgement with the shades of an oh shit behind it. Like, he's not outwardly thinking that, but there's an anxiety to him as he walks in. You hear his boot falls as he wanders in. He's fairly well armored. He's not like a shock troop by any imagination. Like, he's not in full plate or anything, but he has.
Is this like the best of the best armor we would give, or can we do even better than this?
I mean, like I said, this isn't a shock troop, but this guy is wearing kind of medium armor. He's got you know, black steel boots, some plates around his hips and thighs. Wears kind of like a shoulder pauldron and chest plates, but most of it is kind of stitched, hardened leather. And he wears a kind of like one of those half helmets with the ring around the eyes as he wanders in.
When he enters, does he just kind of stand there and wait?
Here's the thing. He steps in, and just being in the presence of Needhogg, he stops about 30 feet back from where you are and just stares as he enters the realm of Needhogg's aura.
I am going to immediately turn around, and as I see him just kind of standing there staring, I will say, "On your knee when you enter the Lord's chamber, boy."
He has to kind of move back and kneel. He can't seem to bring himself to move forward at all.
Bring him closer. I can't see his sword.
Above game, is this gonna kill him?
The aura? No, he's just terrified.
Liara will nod and turn to this guy, and she will put the compulsion in his head for him to get his ass over here now.
Give me a roll plus strange, because you are overriding a survival instinct.
That's a 9.
He stands up and begins shakily walking forward. Every ounce of his body does not want to approach this creature. And by the time he gets to you, there is a steaming trail of evaporating liquid behind him, trickling down one leg.
I am going to make sure that
embarrassing us.
I'm going to literally push this soldier forward so that he's right in front of this dragon, so there's no way he can't look at him.
Okay.
If there's a way, I'm going to... If there's a way, I'm going to temporarily put into his head, there is nothing to fear.
You tried that. That is what this is.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Oh, boy. Well.
But yeah, Varric, you kind of like pop a wall up behind him, and the slow shuffling of his feet turns into a kick as he's getting pushed forward. And all of a sudden, he's just kind of
there.
All of a sudden, like as you get shoved forward, he gets like prostrated on his hands and feet, hands and knees before the dragon, who starts to slowly slink his way down off of his rocky platform, and he starts to look over. You can see this guy trembling, this soldier, as the dragon's nose starts to get closer to him as it sniffs. This dude is small enough to fit inside of this dragon's mouth as he leans down and his eye glances over the armor. The dragon moves gets towards his face.
Remove your sword. Draw your blade.
His hand shakily moves to his scabbard, and he slowly draws out his blade in his trembling hand. Needhogg, with 2 claws, just kind of pinches the sword and lifts it from the man's quivering hand as he raises it up to his eye. The sword he's holding is definitely of significantly finer quality than anything that the lizard folk out there are wielding.
I hope the quality pleases you.
It will suffice. How much can you offer? Enough to arm all of my men, and those still to come.
Above game, we can offer that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we feel like we have those resources?
It might take time to produce the amount necessary, but yeah.
Varric will speak up, being the Ministry of Defense person.
Oh, yeah, go.
We can begin arming your men immediately, and we'll begin preparations to arm those in the future that need arms. It shall be done.
We would offer one more thing, if you would like it.
His eye goes from the blade back to you, Liara.
Oh?
She holds up the hand again, the one that was pulsating with him.
You have concerns about this and how it makes you feel. We might be able to. We could provide information.
His other claw his other hand that is not currently pinching the sword, kind of goes down to his stomach.
Yes. Our father is quite knowledgeable in these sorts of things. He is the one who made us. There is a good chance he will know about what it is.
They contain power.
Indeed.
A power I could learn to wield.
She smiles.
Father may know. Should you wish such information. In our alliance, I'm sure he might be willing...
Sorry, let me phrase.
In an alliance, I'm sure he would be willing to share such knowledge with you.
An intriguing offer. But I would be a fool if I did not ask. What is it that your master seeks in return?
Above game, Father just wanted to make sure to get this guy as an ally because if he doesn't want him as a threat, right?
Your job was to gauge whether this guy is a threat, and seeing as how he's eaten one of your kind, yeah, he could be a threat. So yeah, gaining him as an ally would definitely be the better thing to do.
So did Father say, like, because I know it was just that he wanted us to find out threat or asset, but did Father specify what he might want in return if we were to get an allyship? Like anything specific?
He seems to trust you very well with this negotiation. Like, he, in a odd way, this to him, in the grand scheme of things, in whatever he is plotting, he trusts whatever outcome you come out of this with. And ultimately, as long as whatever is down here is not an immediate threat, is okay with any situation. So whatever you come out of this with, as long as it's not an enemy or you dying, is to him a success. He trusts you implicitly with negotiations.
Do you mind if Varric says a little something?
Yeah, go for it. I'm thinking how to phrase this.
Yeah.
Much like yourself, we wish to protect our homelands, our territory. We dare not dictate that a dragon such as you must assist us in any of that. We simply wish to keep our borders as our borders.
You're gonna hate the words that come out of my mouth next. Give me a roll plus charm.
No, why me?
Because you chose some very specific verbiage.
I did. Oh, that's bad. That's a failure.
A 6.
Course! This is what I get for trying to do the thing without the dice. Cool.
His eyes glare at you for a moment.
Your borders. Your borders mean nothing to me. The only borders are what lands you control, what people fear you. Out there, everyone fears me more than they fear you. If I were to fly into the center of your lands, who would they fear?
Oh, I'm about to take a gamble. We'll look up and say,
Our father, Ramses.
His eyes, this mixture of unentangled pride with unrelenting. This is like pure vanity that is like brimming off of this creature right now.
You believe your master stronger than me, more powerful than my might.
You misunderstand. Your might is great, there is no doubt of that. But my unwavering loyalty is to Father. By that, there is no one stronger. I cannot consider it. It is an impossibility.
Give me a roll plus charm.
that's an 8.
I'll take it.
He chuckles.
You stand in my lands and tell me you fear the power of another.
I must. There's no other way I know.
She will do another bow.
Dreadlord Needhog. Father's greatest wish, his greatest desire, is simply for his children to have a place they can be safe and live their lives. Towards that end, he will seek help if he needs it. Hence why we are here.
Well, let me rephrase that.
He will seek whatever means necessary to secure that. I'm sure that's why we are here, if possible. An alliance with you would be of great benefit. If we cannot, he will find other means. Father always does.
You hear his claws as he taps them on the stone beneath his hands. Clack, 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 clack. Clack, 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 clack.
Children. Clack, 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 clack. Very well. I will not seek war with your people, and I will not try to consume your lands. But I have one further request.
Bows her head.
Yes, Needhog, sir. Yes, Dreadlord Needhog.
It is lonely here, being the only of my kind. I seek a way to find another, to have a brood of my own. Can your father, in his infinite power, make that happen?
Above game, is that something, what was his name? Citrion? Was his?
Kyteron?
Is that
Kyteron,
something
that's
Kyteron
right.
is good
Yep.
at?
Kyteron is... he's more focused on the ability of transmuting mundane creatures into demonic monstrosities. But if he's able to do that, then maybe there's a way to create draconic creatures that might suit his needs. It's not something... Give me just a general roll plus smarts. Because this is.
Yeah, I was going to say, if the potential is there, we have to
this,
phrase it differently than it's for sure.
That's a 6.
This is
I
not your realm of expertise in the least.
Well,
but
it's more that Liara, I feel like Liara would be like, oh yeah, Father can handle that easy. It's just that with Kaiteron on that sort of thing too, there are other options, but I mean, Liara is probably like, yeah, Dad can do that.
There are dragon-blooded creatures, and the ability to, I mean, the fact that Nidhogg exists in general means they can be created, so the possibility is out there. You just can't guarantee anything.
It is very likely. As I said, Father knows much about these crystals of ours. You are proof of that as well. I'm sure he would endeavor to assist you if that is what you would wish for an alliance.
If your father can make this happen, then perhaps an alliance there can be.
Just bows her head.
Varric will do the same.
Until then, Wizen.
Yes, my lord.
You notice that when you play your instrument and he becomes less temperamental, he actually refers to you by name sometimes.
Ooh.
Ooh. Travel back with them and secure our arms and armor as the show of good faith.
As you wish, my lord.
If you require rest, you may stay in my Kuldara for the evening. Otherwise, shall we consider this business done?
Aye, Your Grace.
Yes.
Then leave me. I will slumber.
Varric is going to grab the dude who's still quivering on the floor and start walking out.
He is a quivering, kind of broken mess. His brain is, he's having pre-PTSD. Like, he's...
Whoa. Pre-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm going to grab him.
He is in the middle of his post-traumatic stress.
And I'm going to grab I'm going to make sure his sword is in his sheath. And I'm going to make sure none of the shit's on the floor. Oh, okay. Then I'm going to make sure the rest of him gets the fuck off his floor and walk out.
Yep, and luckily, any trail of urine he left behind is long since evaporated.
Good. Don't need that on there neither.
It's self-cleaning in this space.
Hey. Excellent.
As you wander back out, Liara, as you walk through the door, once again, you sense those other two beings. And as you look over, you see what looks to be almost a anthropomorphic metal rabbit. I don't have the picture in this of T-Wig, unfortunately, but it is what looks to be a human in a metal suit, but the helmet has like rabbit ears sticking up off of it. It's kind of like staring towards you as you walk out of that chamber. Not making much motion, not doing anything, just staring. A bit from a distance, probably about 15, 20 yards away in a kind of a shadowy corridor.
I'd like to reach out and read some surface thoughts, if I may.
Go for a roll plus strange.
That's 11.
On the surface, what you're getting from this being is that it's trying to judge whether or not you are a threat. It believes that you are a bad influence on her son, which is an odd choice of words for it. But deeper down, you kind of hear kind of like the shadow of a voice as well. And all this voice seems to do is long for nature and peace and bees. It misses bees.
Interesting.
Give me a roll plus wits as well.
Okay. It's 5.
You notice nothing else.
Ooh.
Excellent.
I'll just make note of that and continue on.
All right. You kind of drop that soldier with his companions, and they try to kind of get him back into marching shape. Other than that, you're left with Wizen, and the troops await their order.
We are to return home. The bird will be coming with us.
Smiles at Wizen.
They give a salute.
Smiles at Wizen.
I look forward to your continued company.
I endeavor to be entertaining. It looks like your words proved prophetic, my Lady Liara.
I'm sure Father will be very interested to meet you.
As I am him. Give me but a moment to gather my things.
Of course.
As you go to gather your things, Wizen, you hear the approaching boot falls of several of the soldiers that went out with Needhog. Among them, as you're heading back to your chambers, you see Yarick, who kind of takes off his, by this point, kind of rust-covered helmet. It was once this very sterling gold, but now has kind of been pockmarked by heat and time. And his raggedy red cape torn and tattered behind him as he wanders in.
It seems
Sir Yorick.
Wizen, it seems we've missed much. What has happened?
Indeed. A few liaisons from the Midnight Kingdom from the north sought an audience with Nidhogg. They offered their strange, well-crafted armaments in exchange for friendly relations.
So it all went peacefully. That's good.
As well as it could have gone.
Any changes in the Dreadlord?
When they approached, something strange occurred. Something originating from his stomach seemed to resonate in tune to the odd stones he mentioned that they were embedded in their bodies.
You see something kind of cross his eyes. I mean, you know, but it basically from past traveling companions and your talkings with Yarick in the past, his relation to Nidhogg.
Do you think that could possibly be a key?
This Ramses did seem to have information pertaining to the strange energies that exude from the stone. Perhaps we might learn a bit more about these energies. I am traveling with these liaisons to the north in order to procure the arms and armaments and bring them back for our soldiers.
So I'm guessing you won't be heading east anytime soon, then?
he says, knowing exactly what you do from time to time.
I'm afraid not.
Well,
Though perhaps once I return, I may be given some time of leave.
I'll say you've probably earned it by then.
I endeavored to learn much in my time there.
Hurry back.
He'll shake his head and nod and bow.
Oh.
Is...
And for arms and armor, he takes off the tattered helmet.
That's for sizing. I need a new set.
He'll scoop it up and look it over, and he'll place it into a bag that he'll carry with him. You know, sort of like a backpack situation.
I'll have a messenger go with the rest of my measurements for you.
Very good. Then, by your leave, I will return as soon as I am able. Hopefully with good tidings.
By the Dreadlord's grace, Wizen.
By the Dreadlord's grace.
He nods and starts heading back to report to Needhog.
Do I see the metal person?
On your way out, as you grab your stuff, the Arcanaton appears to be studying the devilish people that have come with you. So yeah, you see them.
I'm sure we've at least talked during our time here. Wizen found them interesting enough that he wanted to learn more about them.
Yep. Yeah, you've conversed. You, like I said previously, you have a general idea of what's going on there. That they have a connection to Needhog, but whatever attachment they have here appears to be kind of waning, and they appear to be losing their grip on whatever is tethering them to this planet.
Wizen will sort of
Also doesn't help that the metal has been getting, like, it's been moving slower and slower just due to the warping of the heat of this area.
Wizen will approach the Arcanaton.
You hear
I'm going to be leaving.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to be leaving for a time.
You hear the creak of metal as the head turns to look towards you. Be careful with them.
I will be. I endeavor to learn much. It will be an interesting experience, however it goes. But I will return.
The head turns back.
He'll reach a hand out, and if I could begin to cast mending.
Oh, absolutely. Give me a roll plus strange just to see how well it mends. You're even with a failure, it's going to do. Oh well, with a success.
11.
That'll do it.
Yeah, with a success, as the head begins to turn, you start to hear the creak, but then.
He'll look this. Oh, sorry.
With their influence, he could be lost.
With the right knowledge, he could be saved. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches on the soul and sings the tune without words, and it never stops. Not at all.
The eyes flick blue for a moment. Be safe.
He nods and bows, and then he'll ready Echo and Grass Cutter ready his backpack, put on his traveling attire, and he will fly out to meet the liaisons.
While he's gone, can Varric pull Liara aside real quick?
Oh, of course.
He will kind of try to pull you away from the other men so that he could... I guess the conversation can happen telepathically, but he'll at least pull you to the side.
I mean, if we're leaving, we can just talk normal, I suppose. Unless
Yeah.
it's something you really don't want to be said out loud.
You would be able to tell it's probably something he doesn't want to say in front of the lessers.
In front of the failures!
Exactly.
Alright, yeah, we can just hang back a little bit more from the rest of them so they
Yeah.
don't hear.
I appreciate your assistance with the negotiations, sister. My thoughts are focused, but my words tend to never materialize correctly. I appreciate you saving the negotiations. Father will be most pleased.
You spoke quite well, but we are dealing with an extreme force after all.
Father, forgive me were I to ruin these for him.
All as his father has seen. Whatever the outcome, I'm sure he has a contingency plan for it. But do not worry. We have done well today.
Varric just kind of nods at you. And he'll wait for Wyzen to come back.
Eventually, he'll trot out with a big old backpack. Well then, Lord
Ready?
Varric, Lady Liara, by your leave.
Well, do keep up.
And as you guys head off down the mountain pass, back up to the lands of the Midnight Kingdom, with negotiations well in place and an army to arm, here's where we will end tonight's session.